Hey everyone, we're back again for, I guess this is session number 2 of trying to work out how AngularJS 2.0 works. In the first session, as I said, I was just looking around a little bit, looking at how these tab files on the actual main page worked. In my mind, I didn't actually go through and read the information to work out exactly what all the syntax was, but it's just for me to get an understanding in my head how it might be glued together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go through this get started section, which I think will be the next point where people might want to actually start getting involved. So let's click on get started and see what we've got here. So we're going to get a 5-minute quick start, Angular2 for TypeScript. What's this? Yeah, I'm going to actually, for this run, I'm going to use TypeScript. Just because I think that anyone that uses this is probably going to end up using TypeScript as well. You know, they wouldn't have it as the default if it wasn't the most popular. Obviously there's Dart and there's JavaScript as well, but I think if anyone is looking for a job in AngularJS going forward, I'm using TypeScript, so we might as well learn it in the language they use the most. So even though I've done a little bit of TypeScript, a little bit off though with it. I haven't done it in such a while, so sorry if I get a little bit slow with writing my TypeScript, but we have to go with what it is. Okay, so what's the first thing? It says see it run. Okay. I don't want to do the quick start source here. So let's see it run. So we'll click clunker and loading. Oh, interesting. You want to do that, was it? Oh, sorry, click on the wrong link. Click on the live example in Plunker. Okay, so we've seen all this already. This looks all the same. The only difference is it says my app. It's passing app/main here. It's the main file. So I click on that, have a quick look. And all this looks very similar to what we've already seen. Angular2 browser. We're passing an app component TS file. Inside of that, we've got our selector, which is the my-app, which we already saw in the index.html file. And then here, and what else do we have? We have a template where it's just going to substitute. It looks like it's just going to substitute what's in that element with a h1 tag and my first Angular2 app, which it looks like it's already done it before I'd even decide to run it. Looks like it's already executed it, so we'll stop, run it again. So nothing on the screen. Comes up with loading, and then that. So loading. So I think, if I remember right, they put in the word loading in between the element, yeah. So the only probably concerns me a little bit so far is that you have to put the word loading. It's that slow that, you know, I know that things aren't super fast, but they did say on their homepage that this was fast. See? Fast. Angular computes updates based on changes to data not done for fast updates. Yet, their example takes a little bit to load. Anyway, I'm not gonna worry too much about that at this stage. So what do we got going forward? This is just telling me the format and how you can use that. Okay. Explanations describe the concepts and reasons behind the instructions. Explanations have thin border. Alright, so this is just explaining how the instructions work. Development environment. Oh, okay. We need to set up our development environment. Install Node and Npm. Well, I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that. Current application project folder. Let's click on this. Alright, so make directory Angular2 QuickStart. Okay. Nah, I'll do it my way. I know most people use the command line. I'm just going to do it this way. Angular2 QuickStart. Position that up in the corner there. Okay, and then what have we got here? We got, what is it? tsconfig.json file. So we'll add this to the project file and copy and paste the file in. Okay, let's right, so now I've created the folder. I'm going to create some files. I'm just going to open up Sublime for this, just save some files into this project here. Come on. I'm a Windows user, so for anyone who comes from a Mac background, I'm not over familiar with all the Mac commands. I'm much happier just to go file, save as here, and then just save it into the folder. I should get myself up to date with all the different shortcuts. And when I want to save it, tsconfig.json. tsconfig.json, okay. And now I'm meant to copy this information in. Paste. So just have a quick look at what this is. Compiler options. So we're going to target ECMAScript 5. We're going to use the, I don't know what module system is. I'm assuming that's that system thing that we were looking at earlier. Module resolution node, don't know what that is. Source map. So all this stuff I don't know yet, but it's okay. So I'll just save that. I'm sure it will come up in a future video what that is. Now I want to create a typing, so tsconfig file guide to TypeScript compiler. Alright, so TypeScript. If I want to learn more about TypeScript configuration, I'll come back to that. I just want to get something working. So add a typings.json file. So I'll go file, save as again, and we'll go typings. Okay, save. And then we'll add this in. ECMAScript shim. Yeah, don't have no clue what any of this stuff does. That's alright, we'll get to that point. So far they haven't explained any of this. Many of the JavaScript libraries extend the JavaScript environment with features and syntax that the TypeScript compiler doesn't recognize natively. We teach it about these capabilities with TypeScript type definition files d.ts, which we identify in a typings.json file. We go a little deeper into typings in TypeScript configuration. So it must be down the line when they explain it. Then a package.json. Package.json file to the project file and copy and paste the file. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna create ourselves a little web server. White server to yeah, looks like we're going to create ourselves a little web server to run this on. That's alright, let's see what it does. Oops. This one. Save as. What's this? Package.json? Package.json is usually used with no package manager, so I knew straight away it was some form of dependency list. It's the same on Windows, package.json, that's still there. So there's nothing new to Angular, that's a node thing. And then we'll just copy this stuff in. So this should get all the packages we need. Copy, paste, save. So this is it's going to go and pull out an Angular QuickStart package. And it'll have a bunch of dependencies along with it. So any libraries we need no package manager. That's one of them. It recommends just start set pages, specify dependencies. We've included a number of NPM scripts in our suggested package, not just common development tasks. Start TSC currently npm run TSC. We execute most npm scripts in the following way: npm run plus script name. The start don't require the run keyword. Here's what these scripts do. npm start runs the compiler and the server at the same time, both in watch mode. npm run tsc runs the TypeScript compiler. npm run tsc :w runs the TypeScript compiler in watch mode. The process keeps running, awaiting changes to TypeScript files and recompiling when it sees them. npm run light runs the light server, a lightweight static file server with excellent support for Angular apps that use routing. Okay. And typings runs the typings tool. Post install. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video here just because to run npm install I'm gonna have to open up a terminal, and the terminal has some information I don't really want to give away to outside people. If I can blur it out potentially in another video, I can do that, but at this stage I don't know how to do it off the top of my head. So I'm just going to pause the video, do this npm install, which is simply a command line thing. It's no big deal. And then we'll get back to where we are right now. Anyway, see you in a minute. Hello everyone, we're back. In the time that I went to pause, I opened up a terminal console, I ran that npm install command, and basically all the packages that were in that package.json file were installed on my machine. As you can see here, you got the node underscore modules, which has got a whole bunch of different modules in it. But this is standard for Node to have this kind of setup. So again, nothing specific to do with Angular here. We've also got some typings, which I'm still not 100% sure what they all are or what this all means, but it's okay. We'll find out soon enough. And we've still got those 3 JSON files which they tell us to answer. Now, we're now moving on, so we're all set to write some code apparently. So we're going to do our first Angular app. Interesting. So apparently inside this directory, I'm going to create a directory called app. So we'll do that now. App subfolder off the root directory and make it the current directory. Yep. So add a file component name app.code.ts. Okay, so we're going to create a new file. And save as. And we're going to the app folder. And we're going to call it, what was it? app.component. Not TS, not JS, TS. I don't know if Sublime has TypeScript support. Probably doesn't. Probably can get it though. I should look it up at some point. Sublime is generally what I use for HTML5 and JavaScript and CSS. I don't know how it applies to TypeScript, but that's okay. I'm sure I can do a little bit of a Google later on and find out how to install a TypeScript plugin to make that work. Anyway, moving on. So add a component name app and paste the following code. Right. So what are we pasting here? This is the thing that I don't particularly like about it. Yeah, it doesn't support TypeScript. I'm just gonna do a quick Google, see if I can get Sublime TypeScript support. get node. Alright, I'm just going to leave it for this video and not play around too much, because we do already have a compiler that's going to compile this information, and what that was talking about is installing TypeScript as in a global fashion. I don't know if that will mess up the compilation. It probably won't, but I just want to make sure I can roll it back if something goes wrong. So anyway, moving on. So we've got import component, we've seen this, Angular core. So this is a core component object. Then we're going component, we're calling it app component. We're saying the selector I want to use is my app. And we're h1, my first Angular app. And then we're exporting that class. Now why is that not saving into the file I just created? Didn't I just create a file with that name? Yeah, it's right there, TS. Why did it not save it? Okay. Right, okay, next. App component is in the root of the application. Yup. Pretty sure it is. There it is right there. All this other stuff. I didn't add this. I must have just added it just now. Yeah, I'm a bit confused on what this is, whether this was just added on the fly. So I'm gonna redo this step. I'm just gonna junk that. See what happens. That looked a bit strange. They just added more files even though I didn't really ask it to. So now if I go save again, so app component. So that time now it only saves that. What were those other files then? Alright, I'm just going to keep going. So every Angular app has at least one root component conventionally named app component. Okay. That hosts the client user experience. Components are the basic building blocks of Angular applications. A component controls a portion of the screen, a view through its associated template. Right, so this is a root component, and because it's the only component at this stage, we're picking a selector that says my app, and we're changing the whatever that element is to that. Yep, okay. This QuickStart has only one extremely simple component, but it is the central structure of every component we'll ever write. One or more import statements to reference things we need. A app component decorator that tells Angular what template to use and how to create the component. Okay. So template to use and how to create the component. Well, we've got the template, we've got a selector. A component class that controls the appearance and behavior of the view through its template. So how are they related? Like, is it export class add component? Maybe it does it behind the scenes. It relates. If it's in the same file, add component is the same as this here. Like the configuration for add component matches the class that's at the bottom there. Because it's not very clear how those two relate to each other. Anyway, moving on. Import. Angular apps are modular. They consist of many files which are dedicated to a purpose. Angular itself is modular. It is a collection of library modules, each made up of several related features that we'll use to build an application. When we need something from a module, we import it. Here we import the Angular component decorator function from the main Angular library module because we need to define our component. Okay. The app component decorator. Component is a decorated function that takes metadata object. Okay, so yep. The metadata tells, I should say tells, not tell, Angular how to create and use this component. We'll apply this function to the component class by prefixing the function with an @ symbol and invoking it with a metadata object just above the class. Oh, so this is a decorator on this class. Right. So this is decorating the app component class. Now I see how they relate. Yeah, now I gotcha. Yeah, so it's like a in C#, it's like having an attribute above it. That's alright. I get that now. Because I was wondering how they relate to each other, how they even know. This particular metadata has two fields, selector and a template. The selector specifies a simple CSS selector for a HTML element that represents the component. The element for this component is named my-app. Angular creates and displays an instance of our app component wherever it encounters a my-app element in the host HTML. Makes sense. Kind of already worked that out. The template specifies the component's companion template written in an enhanced form of HTML that tells Angular how to render this component's view. Our template is a simple... Sorry. Uploading a video at the same time, guys. That's what happens. So actually, I'm just going to get to that. I'm going to pause the video for a second so I can take care of this video issue. Be back in a sec. Hey guys, sorry, I'm back now. Okay, so where were we? We were looking at, template specifies the component's companion template. Written in enhanced form of HTML tells you how to render this component's view. A template is a single line of HTML announcing my first Angular app. The more advanced template can contain data bindings to component properties and might identify other application components which have their own templates. These templates might identify yet other components. In this way, an Angular application becomes a tree of components. Okay. Whereas, so with 91.3, it was kind of like the controller was like the main thing that you controlled on. So you would link a controller to a directive or to an ng app, and then from there you could define, properties and things like that. But you did also have directives, which were just like little mini components that you could put on the screen. And it looks like that's what they've gone with. They've just gone with directives everywhere. So the only issue with that was communicating across directives. And that was the reason why they had these controllers, was to control communication across directives and across basically the page lifecycle. So we'll see how they do that. But at this stage, they've just gone with a component-based system, which could be great, could not be great, don't know. At this stage it seems relatively simple enough, so good. Component class, at the bottom of the file is an empty do nothing class name app component. When we're ready to build this substantive application, we expand this class with properties and application logic. Our app component class is empty because we don't need to do anything in this quick start. We export app components so that we can import it elsewhere in our application, as we see when we create main.ts. So we're showing it now with main.ts. Now we need something to tell Angular to load the root component. Add a new file, main.ts, to the app folder. Okie dokie, I can do that. Oops. File, save as. Was it main? Just main? Main.ts. Okay. Alright. So, copy this. Just click on that. So in this one, we import two things we need to launch the application. Angular's browser bootstrap function and the application root component, app component. Then we call bootstrap with the app component. Bootstrapping is platform specific. Okay. Notice that we import the bootstrap function from the Angular/platform/browser, not Angular2/core. Bootstrapping isn't core because there isn't a single way to bootstrap the app. True, most applications that run in a browser call the bootstrap function from this library, but it is possible to load a component in a different environment. We might need to load it on a mobile device with Apache Cordova or native script. Okay, so that's where they've gone with the mobile approach with this. That's cool. We might wish to render the first page of our application on the server to improve launch performance or facilitate SEO. These targets require a different kind of bootstrap function that we'd import from a different library. Fair enough, it makes sense. Why create a separate main.ts file? Well, the main.ts file is tiny. This is just a quick start. We would have folded a few lines into the app.component file and spared ourselves some complexity. But they say we'd rather demonstrate the proper way to structure an Angular application. App bootstrapping is a separate concern from presenting a view. Agreed. Mixing concerns creates difficulties down the road. Agreed. We might launch the app component in multiple environments with different bootstrappers. Okay. Testing the component is much easier if it doesn't also try to run the entire application. Agreed. Let's make a small extra effort to do it the right way. Also agreed. So now we're going to add the index.html. So index.html is the web page that hosts the application. Navigate to the project root folder. Okay. So we're already at the project root folder. Isn't app? Okay, I guess not. Create an index.html file. Okay. Save as. So out of app, we get the next one up. Index.html. Nice. And paste in the following lines. Well, we've seen most of this already, so they'll explain it obviously, but we've kind of already looked over this a bit, so it should be relatively simple for us to understand. There are three noteworthy sections of the HTML: the JavaScript libraries, the configuration of system.js, where we also import the run and run main file that we just wrote, the my app tag, and the body, which where our app lives. So then load the following scripts. We began with the Internet Explorer's polyfills, i.e. requires polyfills to run an application that relies on ECMAScript and 15 promises and dynamic module loading. Most applications need these capabilities, and most applications should run in Internet Explorer. Next to the polyfills are Angular2, then the system.js library for module loading, followed by the reactive extension library. Now, QuickStart doesn't use reactive extensions, but it's a potential application that wants observables. Yeah, but okay, doesn't really specify what it's covering, other than it's for IE. But anyway, they very rarely do. Finally, we load the web development version of Angular2 itself. We'll make different choices as we gain experience and become more concerned about production quality, such as load times and memory footprint. Okay. Fair enough. Too soon for them to tell us, in other words. System.js configuration. The QuickStart uses System.js to load application and library modules. There are alternatives that work just fine, including the well-regarded Webpack. Never heard of it. System.js happens to be a good choice, but we want to be clear that it was a choice and not a preference. Okay. All module loaders require configuration, and all loader configuration becomes complicated rather quickly as soon as the file structure diversifies and we start thinking about booting for production and performance. We suggest becoming well versed in the loader of your choice. Learn more about System.js configuration here. Okay, so that they definitely think you should learn System.js. Okay. I was wondering before whether I needed to waste my time learning it, and it looks like I should probably take some time to learn what System.js is. That's fine. I'll do that maybe another time. With those cautions in mind, what we are doing in this QuickStart, what are we doing in this QuickStart configuration? So looking at this, the packages node tells System.js what to do when it sees a request for a module from the app folder. Okay. Now QuickStart makes such requests when one of the application's TypeScript files has an important statement like this. Notice that the module name after from does not mention a file extension. The package's configuration tells System.js to default the extension to JS, a JavaScript file. Okay. That makes sense because we transpile TypeScript to JavaScript before running the application. Transpiling in browser. What's this concept of transpiling? Is that like transcripting and compiling? In the live example on Plunker, we transpile, aka compile, to JavaScript in the browser on the fly. That's fine for a demo. That's not our preference for development or production. We recommend transpiling, aka compiling, to JavaScript during a build phase before running the application for several reasons, including we see compiler warnings and errors that are hidden from us in the browser. Pre-compilation simplifies the module loading process and is much easier to diagnose problems when this is a separate external step. Pre-compilation means faster user experience because the browser doesn't waste time compiling. True that. We iterate development faster because we only recompile change files. We notice the difference as soon as the app grows beyond a handful of files. Pre-compilation fits into continuous integration process, build step, and deploy. I agree with all of that. Makes sense. But how do we do that? You haven't shown us that bit yet. I'm sure you will. The system.import call tells System.js to import the main file, main.js, after transpiling main.ts, remember? Main is where we tell Angular to launch the application. We also catch and log launch errors to the console. All other modules are loaded upon request, either by an import statement or by Angular itself. When Angular calls the bootstrap function in main.ts, it reads the app component's metadata, finds the my app selector, locates an element tag named my app, and loads our application between those tags. Add some style. Okay. Let's create the style file as they suggest. Is it style or styles? Styles, we called it. Yep, so copy that. Alright, so that's fine. And then compile and run. Alright, so I'm gonna have to open up the terminal window. This time I might have to blur out my name instead of actually stopping the video, just because it gets annoying every time to stop the video and bring it back up. So I'm gonna just do that. I'm gonna open up a terminal window now and go to that directory, cd documents. So I went to documents already. Yeah, 3D. what am I doing here? I'm now going npm start. There you go. Hey, and there you go. Alright. Nice. My first Angular2 app. With the browser sync. That's pretty cool. What's the first app? These are the examples I've got. Make some changes. Try changing the message to my second AngularJS app. Oh, really? Okay, let's try that. I think this is telling us how to we know where to find things. So that's inside the component here. Refresh that. TypeScript compiler and light server are watching. Oh, was I supposed to be watching that? Okay. Oh yeah, okay. File change detected, starting incremental compilation complete. And it reloads, was it? Ah, that's nice. So let's put that up there and I'll change this back to, I'll change this to third. Save that. Oh yeah. Nice. Very good. Very good, Angular. Nice package and then development environment setup. I think a different editor would be nice, but I'll have to probably work that out on my own. So what have we got here? So TypeScript compiler and light server are watching. They should detect the change, recompile the TypeScript into JavaScript, refresh the browser, and display the revised message. It's a nifty way to develop an application. Oh yeah, agreed. We close the terminal window and when we're done to terminate both the compiler and server. Okie final structure. Our final product folder structure looks something like this. So Angular QuickStart app component.ts main.ts. Okay, I've got more than that in there. I've got all the JavaScript files too, obviously. But I'm assuming that if you're going to use Git, you wouldn't use the JavaScript. You just use the TS. You would just put the TS files from Git. So you've got your node modules, you've got your typings, you've got your index.html, you've got your styles, .css, you've got your 3 JSON files, and that's it. I'll go back to my first, just to keep it consistent. That's really good. The way it does that. Now if I go back, yep, cool. Wrap up, our first application doesn't do much. It's basically a hello world for Angular2. We kept it simple to run the first pass. We wrote a little Angular component. We added some JavaScript to index.html and to a static file server. It's about all we expect to do for Hello World app. We have greater ambitions. The good news is the overhead of setup is mostly behind us. We'll probably only touch the package.json to update libraries. We'll likely open index.html if we need to add a library or some CSS style sheets. We're ready to take the next step, and a small application demonstrates the great things we can do building Angular 2. Alrighty, that looks exciting. So I might end it up here though. So good stuff. I don't know if you guys followed along with me, but that was pretty cool. You know, having that whole light server and having it synchronized and pre-compiled before, you know, launching the application again and again and again. I mean, that's really helpful. You can go and modify a TypeScript file, you just save it, and it will launch the application for you again in the browser. That's really, really handy. So until next time, guys, I'll see you later.